Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul, and in this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. A buddy of mine sent me this article thinking that I would find it interesting, and lo and behold, I did. So much so that I wanted to talk about it and make a video about it. The article in question is actually by Forbes, and it's the 30 greatest book series of all time. Now, a lot of people see an article titled that, and their immediate assumption is, yeah, this is engagement bait of some variety. And as a professional marketer, marketing is my trade. It's what I do for a living. I can absolutely tell you that, yes, this is 100% engagement bait. These kind of articles are specifically designed to elicit exactly what you're seeing right now, a reaction or a response from people. They're designed to receive a ton of impressions, get clicks, and most importantly, have people actually comment on them. Now, normally, I don't really bother myself too much with that. BuzzFeed's been doing it since forever, and other, people have been doing this for a long time. But the way this specific article is set up is so egregious. Like it's so blatant and so kind of obnoxious in how it goes about it that I actually felt the need to comment on it, because I think that articles in this style can actually be cool, can actually be informative. But when they're set up like this one is, and we'll go through it together, it doesn't really add anything to the conversation and is strictly just designed to have you go to a website that is, I'm looking at it right now, just chock full of ads. So let's get into it. Let's start this off. And before we do, I just want to say I'm not going to be linking to this article anywhere. I will show a cutout version of it on screen, but more than I am not going to, if you want to find it and look at it yourself, you can. We'll go through it here briefly, but I'm not trying to drive any additional clicks other than the few I've given it in the time that I'm reviewing it, because I do really think this crosses a line, especially for a publication like Forbes, which is supposed to be like real journalism. This is not real journalism. And I want to say I get this as a standalone piece by a contributor, but the way this article is set up is like it's some kind of objective fact. So let's take a look at it. And I quote, "This article covers a range of genres from fantasy to science fiction, and rankings are based on specific factors, including critical acclaim, commercial success, mass appeal, and cultural impact among readers of all ages over the years." Okay. Now my computer's yelling at me and getting angry about this, and for good reason. What does that mean? Okay, let's break this down. So commercial success, that's one we can pretty easily take a look at. That's like number of books sold. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Mass appeal? Now that gets a lot more amorphous. Now, does that include things like, I don't know, like Google search results, like number of hits over a certain time span? Maybe you could try and find a way to quantify that. Cultural impact. How do you measure cultural impact? Does that have to do with like were movies and TV shows made? Was it amount of merchandise that was sold? Again, this just gets so odd. But even let's say that you could try and break this down and say, cool, maybe it's like number of awards won in combination with amount sold in combination with like box office results if there was a movie, but then it's not even fair because not all books get movies. Even if you could find some kind of way to give this a scoring system, which this didn't, you'd still have to find a way to try and weight it, etc. And none of that happened here. This just seems like the person who sat down and wrote this article I'm going to plant this seed now. And for the millennials in the audience, this will seem kind of familiar. It just seems like books millennials grew up reading, if I'm being honest, and it is very Western focused. It doesn't really feel like a whole lot of thought was put into this. And we'll go through it briefly. But I just want to say, to start, this premise can be very cool. Now, if you say, let's take a look at the top 10 YA novels of all time. Okay, let's narrow it down a little bit. You can still keep it broad, but we can narrow. Okay, maybe you can. And sure, there's some subjective element, but all right, you can go that route. But let's take it even one better. Let's say top 10 highest grossing fantasy series of all time. Okay, now that starts to get a little bit more interesting, and there's actually some data to back that up. You can look and see how many copies of these books were sold. That's something I'd be interested in reading. I would legitimately read that article. No clickbait needed. I'm really curious what, is I have to think like Lord of the Rings or something except being number one, like Wheel of Time, like what's going to be up there? But instead we don't get any of those things. There's basically no work put into this. It's just a list of 30 novels. And I'm not even necessarily going to be like, I agree or disagree. And this isn't about me giving my top 30 series results. Because again, if this is the criteria, it's basically all science fiction and fantasy, I should add. Some is we literally have children's books, middle grade, YA, adult. Like, we have the whole range in here too. How can you even compare Percy Jackson and Lord of the Rings? Like, those are two fantasy books, sure, but they are not the same thing. It doesn't make sense to compare them. Yes, not great. Not great to start. We can browse through this quick. We'll go through it together again, so you don't have to. The Expanse, great series. Number 30? I don't know. Who should read? I like that. I like this element of it. You know, it's for epic space stories. Totally. It's a space opera. The Southern Reach. Not even necessarily familiar with this book, but there it is at 29. More ads. Holy crap, they're going to be. I'll try and cut as many out as I can. Number 28, Mistborn. This is the only Sanderson on this list. Why would you choose Mistborn? And this is something that I'm going to gripe at a lot over the course of this. There are many unfinished series on this list, and this is honestly probably my absolute number one thing that I dislike about this list. Don't put an unfinished series on a list and say of top series. Guys, the Game of Thrones TV show existed. Up series 1 through 6, I would have been like, yeah, this is the greatest TV show ever made, and it's not even close. But then season 8 happened, guys. Then season 8 happened, and then woof, tank it. Like, we don't know how these are going to end. And yes, I feel pretty confident that the last few books in Mistborn are going to go pretty well. I'm pretty confident. But, like, don't put it in there. Again, I would say put Stormlight over it, because realistically, it's probably the better. I mean, if you look at quality over time. But again, it's not done. There's 6 books left, guys. There's 6. Okay, keep going. All right, keep going. Red Rising, a series I've got to read. Heard super mixed results. Thursday next series? What a weird title. I don't know what it is. Bartimaeus Trilogy. Read that as a kid. Great book series. Does it deserve to be in 25? I don't know. I don't know. This is just so all over the place. Kingkiller Chronicles. Oh, no. All the drama with Rothfuss aside. No, it's not done. We don't know where it's going to land. Ria Revelations. Maybe I'll need to check this out. It's a cool sounding name. The Witcher Saga. Okay. All right. If you're looking at, again, these have, from my knowledge, basically only been entirely like fantasy. This is dark mystery, I guess. Yeah, fantasy. Don't know. Sci-fi fantasy. Okay. This one is the only one, I believe, one of the only ones on this list that is not English as written in English first, because that's one of the other big issues that I have with this list, is that it's almost entirely like Western writers writing for Western audiences. Like, I don't know if again, this one was translated from Polish, but I don't know how many of these other books, I don't think many of them potentially were written. Again, this just seems like it's like someone my age, like I'm on, it's like, these are the books that I loved and I grew up reading. We're gonna keep going. Earthsea, fantastic. And if we're listing, again, if we're going with like YA fantasy books, this should absolutely be near the top, team. This should be near the top. Earthsea is amazing. We're going through it right now. Amazing. Crazy Rich Asians. Great. How is this like, how can you compare Earthsea and Crazy Rich Asians? Guys, those are not the same thing. Those are not even, how can you possibly compare those things? Like, what makes Crazy Rich Asians a better series than the Earthsea cycle? Can you tell me? I can't say why. It's like comparing, yeah, this, I was going to make some analogy with food, and I need to eat dinner, so I'm not even going to do that. It's make me hungry. Okay, Goosebumps, this is like a seminal classic. Again, a lot of these are Dresden Files, Percy Jackson, Hardy Boys. Ooh, I mean, that's got its own issues now. Foundation, one of my favorite book series of all time, and for the record, a series that a lot of other ones on this list owe their quote-unquote foundation to, because thanks Asimov, and Asimov, of course, pulling from things like War of the Worlds, even going further back. But like, this is a core piece that so many of these other series rest upon. Like, how can you... And it's number 14? Okay, Hitchhiker's Guide, great, amazing. Historic Materials, again, a children's, well, I guess a YA book. Dark Tower, again, amazing. Wheel of Time, number 10. Okay. Discworld, okay, get more classics. Song of Ice and Fire, again, a series that is not done. We don't know how this is going to end. I talked about the TV show earlier. Haha. Outlander. Okay, again, I know a book series that has a strong fan base. They made a TV show out of it. But is Outlander better than A Song of Ice and Fire, Discworld, and Wheel of Time? To this author, yeah. Yeah. And again, cultural impact? No. 50 Shades. Again, a book that started as Twilight fan fiction. Hunger Games, yeah, okay, definitely up there. Again, in terms of cultural impact, getting young children to read, totally. The films, 100%, totally. Okay, there's Twilight, yeah, again, another book that's had a ton of impact. Is it good writing? That's subjective. Again, Chronicles of Narnia, absolutely. Lord of the Rings in second, I think, is a bold choice behind Harry Potter. Again, if we're talking about like global cultural impact, still no. It's still Lord of the Rings. Okay. I'm gonna stop recording so my computer stops yelling at me and I have to like awkwardly pause so I can let my drive cycle. Oh my God. Okay, I'm reading my script. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else here. Anything else here that I haven't said repeatedly? Not really. Guys, look, if you're Forbes, I appreciate, again, this is engagement bait. This is just designed to get people to say, no, Lord of the Rings should have been above Harry Potter. You're crazy. What is Twilight doing on this list? Bah! Like, I get it. It's designed to make people upset. And congrats, at least for me, it's marginally succeeded. But again, the reason that I'm not super happy with this is not the books that are on the list. I honestly don't even care. When you give yourself such wide, broad, and frankly, like meaningless boundaries and guideposts, the content on the list doesn't matter. Again, it's like, yeah, steak is better than avocados. To some people, maybe. To vegetarians, probably not. Both are high-fat foods. Okay, that's the benchmark that we're comparing them to. Great. But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And I think the thing that actually does bug me is that there are people who are probably going to, who don't really know better, who may look at this list and make purchasing decisions based on it. And that's not great. I didn't notice any series on this list that I would say are egregiously bad for their target audience. So it's not like I said, Hardy Boys now is very dated in its content. I don't think I would recommend a child of today's era read that book. Even when my mother read it to me when I was a child, she did some pretty heavy, like on the fly editing. Yeah, don't do this, Forbes. You should know better than this. And other people, like, come on. Like, just, you could do a little bit more work. You could look up the top 10 highest grossing fantasy series of all time, and you could give me money numbers. You could say, this has grossed $10 million, and this has grossed $20 million. And wow, like I would love to know that. I'm legitimately curious as a writer myself. Like, I would love to know what some of these crazy benchmarks are. But this isn't helpful, and this isn't great. And I'm not going to link to it. If you want to look it up and get mad independently, you're more than welcome. But yeah, not super pleased with this. This is a break from our regularly scheduled content. I just thought, I guess technically this is reaction content. Ugh, but hopefully they don't sue me or something. That would be funny. That would be really funny. Yeah, I'll get back to it. I've got a review of Wool coming up next, which is the first book in the Silo series. Again, trying to read more sci-fi, and ooh, it was good. I watched the TV show. I was like, I need to read that book, and it was very, very good. So that'll be the next video coming up here on the channel, and then a bunch more stuff coming down the pipe as well. April's been a bit of a lighter reading month. I've had more work, I've had travel, but I'm going to try and keep the content coming out, as well as more short form content. I've been doing a book series that I'm excited, or a video series that I'm excited about, where I'm going around different cool bookstores in Los Angeles and sort of like showcasing cool little stores. So I'm excited to start getting those up on the channel as well. I have a lot of editing to do, so I should go do that. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.